Well, the Fed continues to reiterate what we heard in their meeting April 29th when they discussed the concern that they have around inflation. It's Wednesday, May 20th, and this is Markets with Megan. If you like this podcast, you can subscribe, hit the alarm bell, share it with your friends, family, colleagues, anybody who may be interested in that economic data that we see on a regular basis and what does it mean for your investments. Well, today we got the actual meeting minutes from the Fed's April meeting. Now, after the meeting that they have, when they have their regularly scheduled meetings, they typically release a short statement and then a press conference. Now, shortly thereafter, a few weeks later, we get the full transcript of the meeting. And that gives us a little bit more insight into what the committee members were actually thinking. And what we saw is that this still remains very much an inflation story. The majority of the officials said that they may need to raise interest rates if inflation continues to run above 2%, which it has continued to run above 2% and is actually climbing further. The wording they upgraded on inflation was they said it was somewhat elevated before, and in this meeting minutes they said it was actually elevated. So I know that may seem silly that investors focus on one word, but yes, when they make that type of a switch to their comments, that means that they are warning you that they're starting to get worried about inflation. Now, this committee had many dissenters on it, which is rare. It was a vote of 8-4. There were 4 dissenters. That was the most since October of 1992. 3 members wanted to change the language to suggest to investors that the next move may be a rate hike. And there was one that actually still wanted a rate cut. The labor market they mentioned, actually, they kind of upgraded that a bit. They said it's stabilizing, but it still is a little bit fragile, but it is stabilizing. Now, the market, because of what we've seen with inflation, what we've seen with bond yields, the market's pricing in now one interest rate hike before the end of this year. And this is a very different picture than what we saw when the Fed came in their first meeting this year, where they were still looking for rate cuts. Now, we'll get their further dot plots or their actual economic projections at the next meeting, at their June meeting. And it'll also be the first meeting where Kevin Warsh takes over as Federal Reserve Chairman. That's all we have today. If you'd like a history of our podcast, you can go to marketswithmegan.fm. Thank you.